الحمد لله رب العالمين وأفضل الصلاة وأتم التسليم على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين سيدنا محمد الصادق الأمين المبعوث رحمة للعالمين وعلى آله الطاهرين الطيبين وعلى أصحابه أجمعين وعلى أزواجه أمهات المؤمنين وعلى ذريته إلى يوم الدين. سبحانك اللهم لا علم لنا إلا ما علمتنا إنك أنت العليم الحكيم. اللهم علمنا ما ينفعنا وانفعنا بما علمتنا وزدنا اللهم علما وعملا متقبلا آمين يا رب العالمين. بالإسناد المتصل إلى الإمام أبي بكر الأجري محمد بن الحسين البغدادي المكي رحمه الله تعالى ونفعنا به وبكم آمين. قال في كتابه كتاب الغرباء من المؤمنين The Strangers of the Believers by Abu Bakr al-Ajurri al-Shafi'i. May Allah be well pleased with him, grant him mercy and benefit us with him. Amin. أخبرنا محمد. So we continue with some of the poetry that he is narrating through his chain of transmission or chains from the Salaf al-Salih about the subject of a stranger in strange times who is just after the protection of his or her religion and the practice of the faith system. أخبرنا محمد قال حدثنا أبو عبد الله محمد بن مخلد العطار قال حدثنا أبو بكر أحمد بن عتاب قال سمعت أبا بكر بن مسلم يقول من الكامل from the Kamil meter of poetry يعني the perfect يا من يريد بزعمه الإخمال إن كان حقا فاستعد خصالا. O you who want, as he claims, to be left alone and hidden, يعني the contrary of fame, خمول, إخمال. If it is real and true, then get ready for certain traits of character and traits of behavior.
We have فاستعمل خصالا.
Yes, فاستعمل also. فاستعمل خصالا. The meter, I don't know about the meter, but definitely the meaning would be also fit, would be fitting. يعني, so use certain traits of character. But since the question is put, the phrase is, the whole line is put as, if it is true what you claim. So you see, then get ready for, yani, so, you know, receive this news as if maybe you don't know, you don't realize what you are claiming. So if it is true what you are claiming, but you do not realize what it means, what it entails, then get ready for this. So whereas if you say, so just use these traits of character, it is not as strong. It is as if the speaker is assuming that he is ready, whereas the speaker is assuming he is not ready. Because it's like Imam Shafi is saying, you want to be a student of knowledge, get ready for poverty. So people run away from that. Yes, so this is a good warning for people who are not ready. So only 12 will be left, and everyone else is running to dunya, as in Surah al-Jumu'ah. ترك التذاكر. You have an alif?
No.
Well, that's what in the footnote he says it's better if he said wada'i, yani leave, which is the same sense as utruk. But he cannot say utruk if there is no alif. So truk التذاكر yani leave conferences and meetings, تذاكر. والمجالس and gatherings. You must ask yourself, the majlis, is it for Allah's sake? Is it, are you learning something that is strengthening your deen and the deen of the nation? Or is it just a routine thing that 3/4 of it you could do without, time-wise, for one? Even in the sense of strict efficiency, dunya. We haven't even spoken about deen yet, you see. So, because you cannot, just because it's called a majlis and a meeting at work or as a celebration and so forth, don't assume that it's not going to be like some kind of hoax message that you get without asking for it on your device, and you have to check and read and wonder, is it true, is it not true, and you go and you check if it's true or not, and it turns out to be a hoax, and it has come, stolen your time, and gone with it, and you never recover it. So we cannot tolerate that anymore. Cannot. So كده اترك التذاكر والمجالس خلاص. That's why the Prophet, even in the Hadith of Prophet ﷺ, any majlis where there is no salat on me, it is like they come and they leave, and they are just gathered around some dead thing. So that is this hadith is the key to that. كلها, all of them. واجعل خروجك للصلاة خيالا, and make even your going out for salat al-jama'a خيالا, يعني like a shadow, يعني imperceptible, no one notices you, and it's like, in and out, and was he even here? بل كن بها حيا كأنك ميت, but be in it alive as if you were dead. That could be one meaning, or it could be that it's the sense of حييا. إن الله ستير حيي. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is most all-covering, sittir, with satir, intensive form of satir. Satir, sattar, sittir. Because alif, ya, and waw, the vowels are the same. So sittir is like sattar, sittir, but intensive. You see, so huyay, most bashful, most shy. So كأنك, as if you are dead. So how to explain that? Think of the expression of one of the contemporaries of Imam al-Awza'i, the Imam of Beirut. He said, Imam al-Awza'i in his khushu', he said, what is khushu'? They defined khushu', the Salaf Salih, as looking at the place where you are going to make sajda. That is khushu'. Humbleness. He said khushu' in salat is to be looking down at least. So the khushu' Imam al-Awza'i said, it was like if you saw him, you would think it is a blind man. This is a blind man. The way that he was. He was not looking here and there, paying attention, and he was like a blind man. Subhanallah. So you can add also the other senses, like a mute man, like a deaf man, someone who speaks little, who looks hardly anywhere, and so forth. I could only think of one person who was like that in our time. It was Shaykh Shukri Luhufi. When you see him, you see even his pictures, you think of that, of those traits. SubhanAllah. لا يرتجي منه القريب وصالا. Even the near relative, al-Qarib, al-Gharib. No, because the Gharib, it is nothing new that the gharib does not expect from him any any tie, any renewal of tie. Wisal is renewal of ties, family ties mostly, right? So this, who has a right to that? The relative, the blood relative, much more than the gharib. Gharib, not necessarily. The gharib, it would be nafil. The blood relative would be fard. But you see, this man has a super fard, yani on top of that fard, another fard that is greater than that, to be with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, because all the rest is going to draw him to dunya. As we have already read, most of the aqriba, they want him for dunya. Right. And if he wants to pull them to akhirah, they refuse. Say no. This is where our kinship will not take us with you. وأنس بربك واعلمن بأنه عون المريد يسدد الأخلال. And yeah,
عون لما تريد يسدد الإخلال.
الإخلال. No, أخلال, the plural of Khalil. And Khul. Khul is أخلال, Khalil أخلاء, يعني close friends, intimate friends. Khalilur Rahman. Khalilur Rahman. So develop familiarity and happiness to be with your nurturing Lord. Yani you be the anis of your nurturing Lord. Be the Khalil. You see? So the first and the last word of the whole line of poetry are synonymous actually. Uns and akhlal. They both mean the same thing. Anis. And know for sure, يعلمن, يعني the noon of tawqeeds. So usually I translate it with indeed, for example. Indeed, you must know that he is the help. You see, he is the help. So why use the substantive, yani the masdar or infinitive noun, instead of saying he is the helper, like Nasir, for example, Nasir, Nasir, or Mu'in, and the forms that are literally helper. Why? For intensity. See? So, for example, as in the tafsirs, the books of tafsirs, they will say, for example, رجل صوم. That's more intensive than رجل صائم كثيرا, who fasts a lot. He is the fast. He is fast itself. رجل صوم. نحن قوم سفر. We are in the midst of our trip. You see, instead of saying نحن قوم مسافرون, that would be literally correct. So intensive, you see. Use the masdar, that is intensive. The Quran is full of that form of intensiveness, using the masdar. Rasada, for example, in Surah Al-Jinn, because now we are doing that. Rasada. So Rasada, the Rasad, instead of saying Rasidin or Rasidun, yani lying in wait and watching, Rasidun. But Rasada is the actual ambush itself. But that's used as an epithet for persons, because they are being described. Okay. So that's the intensive. عون بأنه, that he is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he, or your nurturing Lord, as just mentioned, the help, the aun, nasta'in, of the seeker. Yani the seeker of what? His seeker. See, so that's what is meant here. It says the seeker, but it really means his seeker, because we just mentioned him. So he is the help of the seeker, and he so yusaddidul akhlala is very nice, because it's as if saying that sadda al-khalal also, but that's not what it says, but it sounds like he was saying that sadda al-khalal, yani to stop the gaps, to fix the defects, and supply what is missing. But no, what it really says is he keeps the close friends, the akhilla, on the tariq sadid, or the tariq sadad, yani the correctness, the way of correctness, which is the uprightness, yani the upright way, right? The sirat al-mustaqim. He helps them there. So this is like saying اهدنا الصراط المستقيم. إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم. So the aun and the sadad. يعطي ويثني بالعطاء تفضلا بعد الثواب ويبسط الآمال. So he gives and he praises, أثنى عليه أو يثني, with gifts. So it's singular but meant with the plural, out of bounty and munificence. تفضلا. And so it could be a tamyiz or a hal here, تفضلا, a hal of the subject of yu'ti and yuthni, or tamyiz for ata. Ata of what? Ata in what kind? In kind of tafaddul, in the currency of tafaddul, yani lavishing munificence, lavishing bounty, after, yani on top of the reward of the hereafter. So this is in dunya and akhirah, all this. And he spreads out, يعني with generosity, يبسط الآمال, يعني the hopes, because this is a sure hope. Hopes in dunya is the biggest joke, the biggest lie, the biggest illusion and delusion that you can imagine. But only what is from Allah, with Allah, through Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that one is sure. Like the عدة المؤمن كالأخذ بالكف, يعني the promise of the believer is as if you already got your cash in hand. The promise of the believer كالأخذ بالكف, عدة المؤمن كالأخذ بالكف, as if you took it with the hand already, that you took your qabda, your cash in hand. That's the promise of the believer, because he is a believer. So the believer in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that is the sure thing. But otherwise, not a believer, then even if he's a multi-billionaire, you have yet to see a cent of that promise materialize yet. See? So that is the amal that are halal, the hopes that are halal. Amal, the hopes in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And everything else is amal in dunya, is like Allahumma anta raja'una wa anta thiqatuna. That's what amal here means. You are, Ya Rabbi, you're our real hope. You are our trust. We trust in you. That is the sure thing. من ذا يريد مع الودود مؤانسا. Who wants with al-wadud, when he has al-wadud with him on his side, when he is there, who wants another mu'anis, yani who needs another friend? mu'anis, like anis, yani will bring you. So this is what they were, the kind of answers that the Salaf al-Salih of the Sufis would give. Like for example, Rabi al-Adawiyya, radiallahu anha, that why don't you remarry after she lost her husband? And it's not good to be alone. And she would say, I'm not alone, I'm not alone. Because this is what she meant. So, and this is what we mean when we say, Allahumma anis wahshatana fi quburina. Allahumma anis wahshatana fi quburina. Oh Allah, do not leave us alone in the wilderness of the grave, the desolation, the desertness of the grave, the wahsha. So we want uns. What uns? Your uns. There is this one of the shuyukh of Egypt recently. They posted his talk that when Ma'ruf al-Karhi died, and the two angels, he said, they appeared in his grave and said, Man Rabbuka? He said, Ma'ruf. Man Rasuluka? Ma'ruf. Ma dinuka? Ma'ruf. This is not right. What is he saying? But ma'ruf in Arabic means what? Well known, well known, well known. Obvious, yani. It's obvious like that. So they went back and they reported to Rabb al-Izzah, this is slave, Ma'ruf al-Karhi, all he answers is Ma'ruf. He said, well, it is your Lord, and he said, this is my slave Ma'ruf. Let him go. He is Ma'ruf. He is well known. No need to. Allahu A'lam. So, man dha yuridu? Who? Of course, no one. Man dha yuridu li ghayrihi ashghala? Who is that who wants preoccupation with other than Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? So you let your preoccupation be with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That's what they are. Their eyes are fixed on that. That is the khushu' of Imam al-Awza'i. That is the ma'ruf of Imam Ma'ruf al-Karhi. Subhanallah, they would say, they said in front of Imam Ahmad ibn Hanbal his time, because he was also from Baghdad like Ma'ruf, but the maqam of Ma'ruf, no one approaches it. Yani, if there is any maqam in Baghdad that rivals the maqam of Mahmud, that approaches to rival, it would be the maqam of Shaykh Abdul Qadir Jilani in fame, in magnitude and magnificence and so forth, and ta'zim. But no one else. And there are other great maqams, especially of the imams of fiqh of the Salaf there, such as the one of Imam Ahmad, Imam Abu Hanifa. So they said in front of Imam Ahmad, but Ma'ruf ليس عنده كثير علم. And then Imam Ahmad did not like that at all. He said, إن لم يكن ما عند معروف علم فلا علم. Just like Imam Shafi said about ulama, that if they are not the awliya, then there are no awliya. He said, if what Ma'ruf has with him is not ilm, then there is no ilm. There is no such thing as ilm. So what did they mean, and what did he mean? They meant, ilm of fiqh and ilm of hadith with the riwayah and the sanad, and like their shaykh. This is the miqyas that they had. You see, the measuring stick, the yardstick was Imam Ahmad. That Imam Ahmad himself, he knew himself, and he knew Ma'ruf. He said that is the ilm is the ilm of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Ilm is the ilm of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And if all of the fiqh and the hadith in the world, if it does not bring one to adab with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, what's the use? You may have the diploma, that gets you into the place as a teacher with a high salary and well respected. But when comes the time of salat, if you do not pray the sunnah, well, what is the purpose of such ilm? You give the sunnah no importance. Why? Don't you love Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam? Don't you want to follow in his footsteps? Don't you want him to be happy with you and make shafa'ah for you? So he said, no, that is the ilm itself. That's the whole point of Kitab al-Ilm of Imam al-Ghazali, the first book of Ihya Ulumuddin, the first book. He said ilm in its absolute sense is not ilm of the ahkam, not even the ahkam of salat, zakat, siyam, and hajj, and haid, and wiratha, and janaza, and this and that. It's ilm of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, ilm of Him being the purpose of ilm, the objective. Ilahi anta maqsoodi, Ilahi anta maqsoodi, not shari'atuka maqsoodi. You see? So the sharia is what? The means. That's what sharia means actually. Road. Ihdina as-sirat al-mustaqim. Sirat to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You see? So that's why they have to explain why there isn't ilah in Ihdina as-sirat al-mustaqim. Because another sense of Ihdina is show us. Then it becomes direct transitive. You do not need ilah. So the more literal translation is show us. Show us the straight path. Show us the straight path. But because if you say guide us, then you need ilah. And it has both meanings, guide and show. The point being that the goal, it's not the goal, it is the means. The means. The sharia is the means, the tariqah is the means. The sirat is the means. And they all mean path, road. So continues, he said, من ذا يلذ بغير ذكر مليكه. Who is the one that derives pleasure through other than the remembrance of his owner, مليكه. من ذا يريد لغيره أعمالا. Who is the one that wants other occupations, just like ashghala is preoccupations, with other than him, يعني than his nurturing Lord. من ذا لا تقنعن من الحياة بغيره. Never let yourself be convinced or persuaded. Never ever, because of the noon of tawqid. Yani to be living for other than him or with other than him. So you can use all the prepositions here, and they have different degrees in tariqah and tasawwuf. That ala Allah, billah, ilallah, lillah, fillah, all of this, and you put in front of it suluk, riyada, and hayat, living, you see, thinking, speaking, hearing, like in the hadith of the awliya, hadith Qudsi through Sayyidina Abu Huraira in Sahih al-Bukhari, that the Prophet ﷺ said that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, Man aada li waliyan faqad adhantuhu bil harb. Whoever opposes and shows enmity to a friend of mine, the Khalil in question, the Anis in question, that stranger here, I have declared war against him. And then ما تقرب إلي عبدي بأحب إلي مما فرضت عليه. Never does my servant approach me with lovelier to me than what I have made fard on them. So the first thing that is the loveliest to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is to observe the fard and to shun the haram, the muharram. وما زال عبدي يتقرب إلي بالنوافل حتى أحبه. And my servant never stops approaching me through the voluntary acts until I love them. So what about the first mention of love? That is the loveliness of the fard, approaching the loveliness of approaching Allah through the fard, the loveliness of that act. But then here is Allah loves the servant himself or herself. Through what? Through the nafil. So, oh teacher of religion, of deen, of Quran, of all things, do not pray the sunnah in front of the students at the time of azan. You neglect it? No. Our Shaykh Nuruddin Aitar in Mujamma Abu Nur, he was on the brink of tears and anger when he interrupted the class when he was reading, when he noticed some people already making the qama, the azan was hardly finished, because they were in a hurry. They were students in a hurry between classes. You see, they have very short time. But the pious shuyukh of old, who are on the way of the Salaf al-Salih, they do not accept that from them. They want to keep them to a higher standard, and the shuyukh of tasawwuf. And that's how he was. Shaykh Nuruddin Aitar. You heard of him? They asked one of my shuyukh, and he told me this anecdote that some people who came and from another country, and they were hunting isnads. They want isnads. And they were asking about Sheikh Dr. Nuruddin Aitar, and they said, and he was answering them, and he said to him, but is he a Sufi? هو a Sufi هو? Is he a Sufi? So the Sheikh looked at them, and then he knew why they were asking. He said, oh, he's the king of Sufis. Because if you see Shaykh Nuruddin Aitar in his majlis, he was like a king indeed. So he said the student of knowledge must pay special attention to that. This is a detail that for you it is non-negotiable. It's like when the Sada of Ba'alawi, they say for us Tarawih is fard for us. That is the faqih's way of teaching his students about the sunnah. For the student, what is sunnah is the level of wajib, not less. It's not the level of mubah. Mubah means indifferent. It's an insult to call the sunnah indifferent. So same with makruh, to treat it as haram, not to take it lightly. The Hanafis have a nice, beautiful distinction between makruh tahrimi and makruh tanzihi, to that effect. You see, the tahrimi being much closer to kind of wajib to avoid, and they also make the difference between wajib and fard also. Subhanallah, Allah accept from us our best intentions. Ameen. وَبْذُلْ قِوَاكَ وَقَطِّعِ الْأَوْصَالَ, and spend بذل, يعني expenditure of all your resources, including your efforts, but also your possessions, your wealth. So qiwaka in the sense of yani your all of your strengths. So your wealth is one of your strengths also. Your talents is one of your strengths, and your physical strength, and your material strength, and your mental strength, and sever the connections. Al-awsala. Sever the connections. فَلَئِن بَلَغْتَ لَأَنْتَ أَكْرَمُ مَنْ بِهَا. If only now you reach that goal, then I swear, that is the lam of qasam, that you are the most noble of those that are in it. So supply, what is it? What is the pronoun here? The Quran has that also. And the Mufassir will explain, it's not mentioned. It's just mentioned by, referred to with the pronoun, because it's so obvious. Meaning on earth. وَلَئِنْ هَلَكْتَ فَمَا ظَلَمْتَ خِلَالًا. And even if you should die, you have not wronged any close, intimate friend. You see? Or you have not wronged any, khilala. Let's see what he says.
I have a hamish here.
Khilala, meaning khalla. The plural of khal.
The hamish here is فَمَا طَلَبْتَ حَلَالًا.
No, that doesn't make sense. That is a nuskha that does not make sense. So, فَمَا ظَلَمْتَ خِلَالًا, يعني you have not wronged any khilla, يعني that's when we say khilaluhu, يعني his traits, his attributes. So you have not wronged any, يعني you have not fallen short of any high attribute. You have tried your best, and Allah took back your soul. You are the noblest in life and in death. But to run after dunya in a craven way for the scraps of dunya at the price of akhirah, at the expense of akhirah, الدنيا جيفة طالبها كلاب, reported from Sayyidina Ali radiallahu ta'ala. It is a carcass, and then those that run after it are the dogs. That's the dogs like that, scavengers like that, vultures, might say, hyenas. So the term kalb in Arabic means any predatory wild animal. It can be any of those that attack, and those that are dangerous, and the dog is one of them. It's considered one of them. But it can also mean lion and hyenas and others. من ذاق كأس الخوف ضاق بذرعه حتى ينال مراده إن نال. Whoever tastes the cup of fear, من ذاق, yeah.
No,
ضاق. No, ضاق بذرعه, yes. But من ذاق, because it mentions cup, right? ذاق كأس, this is very frequent. ذاق كأس, and then you can mention things that are not contained in a كأس. So it's obviously a figure of speech. For example, خوف, fear, pleasure, happiness. So these are not things that are found in cups. In cups you find beverages, especially that ka'as means a filled cup. Filled. What's the term for an empty cup? Like an empty goblet? We mentioned it before. Come on. Think of that place in Malaysia. Qadah. Qadah is the empty, and then the full one you say kas. Of fear, ضاق بذرعه. He finds no way out until he obtains his goal. If he obtains it, so then it must be the fear of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He finds no way out other than surrender to Allah completely until Allah takes them back. That's it. This is why, Allah, because it is not allowed to ask for death, but you can ask for shahada. You see, we ask for shahada, and our shuyukh always asking for shahada, but in that sense, in the sense of being surrendering to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, not in the sense of being reckless or a murderer of oneself, or throwing oneself into tahluka, which is haram, forbidden by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the Holy Quran. So, you see, whoever tastes the filled, brimming cup of fear of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, ضاق بذرعه, finds no way out. ضاقت حيلتي. ضاقت حيلتي. I am at the end of my rope. You see, so ضاق بذرعه. ذرع is the forearm, you see. It symbolizes strength, the strength of a person. And that is beyond their strength. ضاقة. The opposite of wasi'a, ضاقة. Until he obtains his goal. If he obtains it. حاشا مؤمل سيدي من خيبة. يعني حاشا meaning never, or as when we say God forbid, or far from, far be it, حاشا, far be it, that the one that puts hope in my absolute Lord will be disappointed. خيبة, the verb is خاب, يعني he is disappointed. خاب وخسر. خاب وخسر. In the Hadith Sharif, عبد الدينار والدرهم, the servant of the dinar and the dirham, يعني the servant of dunya. As they say in English, they have a term for that, and in Judeo-Christian culture, in the English language, when they say mammon, mammon, M-A-M-M-O-N, يعني the calf, the golden calf, or you see the just material world at the expense of anything spiritual, يعني no belief. So, but when your hope, all your hope is in your absolute Lord, then far be it that such a person will be disappointed. جل الجواد بفعله وتعالى. Exalted and transcendent and most majestic beyond anything imaginable is the all generous one with his acts. Act here is in the singular, but it means the plural. وَتَعَالَى. There are many singulars in the Quran that mean plural, and many plurals also that can mean the singular. But the first one is more frequent in the Quran. Can you name one? السماوات والأرض. What is the singular meaning plural here? The ard. See? So instead of saying always السماوات والأراضين, it's too heavy. It doesn't flow. You see? So sometimes it is a question of flowing, like the beauty that makes it be in the singular constantly, like that. We read that book of Ibn al-Muzaffar al-Razi, Lata'if al-Quran, and there is a chapter on that, the singulars that mean plural in the Quran and vice versa. You go back to that, you will see many other examples, but this is the one that sticks in the mind because it is so frequent. Lata'if al-Quran. It's been published. أخبرنا محمد بن الحسين, this is al-Ajurri, he continues. قال حدثنا أبو الفضل الشكلي or الشكلي قال حدثني سعيد بن عثمان الحناط الخياط. You have the tailor, I have the bread maker. I prefer mine to you, but you at least you will have your shirt on. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad. But these are what do we call this? One of or the other is a tasheef. The tasheef is when there is a diacritical error. Like people were saying, is it Busr, Bushr, Nusr, Nashr, Yusr? So that is tasheef. And if it is a letter that is misspelled, it becomes tasheef. So one is, what's the other one you said? Tahrif. So it becomes tahrif. Tahrif. If the letter itself is wrong, that is tahrif. The harf is, the tasheef is the dot. So it is slightly, less. But it can be, both of them can be enormities in mistakes, in blunders. In meaning, it can reach something that is completely wrong and bad. قال سمعت ذنون المصري, ذنون المصري, the great Sufi, يقول بين أنا في مسيري, as I was traveling, إذ لقيتني امرأة من المتعبدات, a woman of those that are devoted to worship, encountered me, كأنها والهة, as if she were in a. So what is walih? So if you have read the tafsir of Imam Baydawi on Surah Al-Fatiha, at the very beginning, the tafsir of the Ism al-Jalala, Allah. So we said, what is waliha? Waliha, the feminine of walih, from the verb waliha, فكان والها وهي والهة. So waliha, Imam Baydawi brings it up, that verb, as one of the possible roots. If we say that the name Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the name Ism al-Jalala, is derived, because the question is asked, is it derived or underived? The name of Allah. So if it is derived, he said, then it comes from ilah, with alif lam of ahd, yani the very one that all know, the God. You see? But the God would be al-ilah. But Allah has another lam, which is not in al-ilah. It has another lam, because it is Allah with a shadda. So it is how to symbolize that, at least in English, because it has to be more than just the God. So the way that I translate it is the one God. Yeah, the one God. So he says one of the possible meanings, if it is derived, if we say that it comes, that al-ilah comes from waliha, as the roots, you see. Because what is the root of ilah? Aliha, waliha. So waliha is one of the, what is waliha? To be bewildered, to be yani in a state. So she was as if in a state of beyond herself, out of herself, out of this world, yani in a state of, so I don't like the obvious, so I will skip the obvious. And by obvious, people will translate as ecstasy or trance, or this is has been cheapened so much through overuse, and that it means it's meaningless nowadays, if not meaning something also low, or as they say, pathetic, inappropriate. You see, so cannot. You have to find something that is exalted. So these are the ones that you see. They would be in the caves. They would be, and Sifat al-Safwa of Ibn al-Jawzi, which begins, as we mentioned before, that with his phrase that the whole purpose of creation is the awliya, is a dictionary of those people. Those people. And there is a whole tradition of such literature. For example, the Tabaqat al-Sufiya of Imam al-Sulami, and of al-Harawi al-Ansari also, that the Hanbalis, they called him Shaykh al-Islam, and also Tabaqat al-Sufiya, but he wrote it in Persian, but al-Sulami wrote his in Arabic. And Tabaqat al-Awliya of Ibn al-Mulaqqin, al-Hafiz of the Shafi'is in later times, al-Munawi also, and al-Sakhawi, all of them Shafi'is, with big, huge works of Tabaqat of the Sufis. So, and they have chapters in them, the Sufis of Mount Lebanon. And if you go even today in the mountains of Lebanon, you might find those caves still there. They lived in caves. They carved out, or natural caves, and so forth. And this is why sometimes people would go, after visiting the holy places of Mecca and Medina and Qudus, they might go also to Mount Lebanon for that purpose. And sometimes maybe to meet such people in earlier times. So this is what he means in his masir. Yani masir in wild places where there would be also other people like that. So including women, imagine. فقالت لي من أين أنت? From where are you? فقلت أنا رجل غريب. I am just a stranger. I am nobody. Subhanallah. This is out of Subhanallah. This is out of the the modesty of the awliya Allah. See, because they take after the Prophet ﷺ, and and the Prophet in Surah Al-Jinn, he refers to himself. You see, it is Allah revealing it to him. But it is part of the speech of the Holy Prophet ﷺ. It's not part of what he is ordered to relate about the jinn saying this. That part ends, and then another part begins where it is Prophet ﷺ just relating the revelation from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But then he's referring to himself and he says Abdullah. Abdullah. So this so he's saying I am just a stranger. أنا رجل غريب. MashaAllah. He did not say I am from, because he is no longer from. Subhanallah, the Sufis, they said even if someone says this is my, they stop listening. No matter, even if it is correct. Son, teacher, book, whatever, not necessarily house, car, like that. No, but if he says my, there is still nafs, there is still my. So my karama, my title, my honor, and so forth. He says, I'm just a stranger. فقالت لي يا غريب, oh stranger, she said to me, وهل توجد مع الله عز وجل أحزان الغربة? And why are any of the, are there to be found with Allah all glorious the sadnesses of estrangement? Is there such a thing as estrangement when you are with Allah? So she is saying, no, you are still, there is still a veil over your state if you describe it as ghurba. You are no longer, you are with Allah. وَهُوَ مُؤْنِسُ الْغُرَبَاء. You see where it reaches when they will say, for example, Abu Yazid al-Bistami radiallahu anhu would say, مَا فِي الْجُبَّةِ إِلَّا اللَّهِ. There is nothing inside the jubba except Allah. They do not like to say there is me anymore. Me, I am this, that. No. Even the me, I, it's like inappropriate to say with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala when they are with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So this is why, Abu Yazir al-Bistami said, I was in Khalwa, and I was in Riyadh, and I was in in the desert, and I was for 12 years, and I looked at myself, and I saw myself wearing the belt of kufr, the belt of this is a non-Muslim person, like that they wear all the beautiful accoutrements, but they have to wear some distinguishing sign that they are not Muslims, so because otherwise people will mistake them as Muslims, and this is not allowed. This is like a kind of trickery that is not allowed. So once this is understood, then they wear the sign and then they can wear it proudly if they are proud of being that, but they have to wear it. So then he said, then I strove against myself to break myself for 5 more years, and I saw that, and still I saw that, and still I saw that. So then if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala opens the door for them, then they might say things like that. that things that are speaking of a state where there is only Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But Imam al-Junayd, for example, he says, no, stay within the veil of propriety, because it is improper to show people fitna, bring fitna to them by saying there is no one in the room except Allah, like that. So even if it is true in haqiqah terms, then you must still not say it. Keep that haqiqah to the people of haqiqah. So here she wants haqiqah speech. Really haqiqah. You are this, you are that, you are gharib, no more titles. وَهُوَ مُؤْنِسُ الْغُرَبَاء وَمُعِينُ الضُّعَفَاء. And he is anyway the close friends of the strangers and the helpers of the weak. قال فبكيت فقالت. So he said, I wept, because he knew what she meant. So she is reminding him that there is no one in the room, not me, not you, not stranger, not this, not that. There is just Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So he weeps. فقالت اعلم, know that أن البكاء راحة للقلب. Weeping is rest for the heart. وملجأ يلجأ إليه. Very beautiful. And a shelter that you seek shelter in. وما كتم القلب شيئا هو أولى من الشهيق والزفير. And the heart never concealed anything that is more appropriate than sobbing and wheezing with crying, with tears. Sobbing and wheezing with tears. See? So it can be read two ways. But never did the heart conceal anything that is more appropriate to be concealed. That would be the way of Sayyidina al-Junayd. Because Sayyidina al-Junayd stood for sahu, yani sobriety. Don't show it. And our teacher, Shaykh Nuruddin Aitar, also never showed it. So he kept it on the brim always. His eyes might be full, but you never saw it rolling like that, because he tried very hard to never show himself as such, because that would be like, oh, look at my piety. That is hateful to them. So they do not want to put themselves in such a position. So that could be the one way to read it. And then another thing is, there is nothing that the heart conceals that is more appropriate in absolute terms, that is better to have in the heart such a thing than weeping for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. قلت, so شديد الأحزان, one of the شمائل محمدية صلى الله عليه وسلم. شديد يعني طويل, sorry, not شديد, but طويل الأحزان, with long bouts or long phases of sadness. قلت علميني شيئا. He said, teach me something. That is to show also, like Sayyidina Musa with Sayyidina al-Khidr, the immense humbleness of Sayyidina Musa. Sayyidina Musa, Ulul Azm. Sayyidina Musa, Kalimullah. Sayyidina Musa, to show himself as a student of Sayyidina al-Khidr alayhi salam. A student of another who is not an Ulul Azm prophet. But he showed himself like that. Shall I accompany you? هل أتبعك على أن تعلمني مما علمت رشدا. shall I? Look at that, asking permission. يعني may I? Shall I accompany you? So that you may teach me. يعني so that if you please will teach me something, anything. علميني شيئا, anything, one thing of what you have been taught, out of a sense of directing me to right, what is right and upright. Look at the humbleness of Sayyidina Musa alayhi salam. Extreme humbleness. That is the high manners of the prophets and awliya. So he says immediately, you know, after she said just 2 words, one question, an answer, and then she gives him teaching. If it is weeping that you have in your mind and your heart, that's good. Keep on that. That is your path. And then he put himself at her disposal. I am your student now. علميني شيئا, that's what it means. فقالت حب ربك, love your nurturing Lord. حب ربك. Allah, that's what you have?
Yeah, without the hib.
Yeah. حب ربك. So it can also be meaning oh, the beloved one of your nurturing Lord, because hib means Habib also. Yeah? Musnad al-Hib ibn al-Hib, as we said, the Musnad of Usama ibn Zayd ibn Haritha. Musnad al-Hib ibn al-Hib, that's what they call it. Imam al-Baghawi, not the Sahib al-Tafsir, one earlier, one from the 4th century. So anyway, it could be, oh, beloved of your nurturing Lord. But then she says, washtaq, another imperative with waw of atf. So therefore it is hibba rabbak, love your nurturing Lord. And long for him, washtaq ilayh, min ash-shawq. And yearn and long for him. فإن له يوما يتجلى فيه لأهل محبته. For verily there is a day, يعني in the life, in which he manifests himself to the people of his love. So فينيلهم, and there reaches them and there happens to them and takes place for them, or they obtain ما أملوا من رؤيته, that which they have been hoping for of his sighting, of seeing him, like that. So the vision of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So the vision of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, of course, is guaranteed for the believers in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in akhirah. وجوه يومئذ ناضرة, faces on that day all resplendent. إلى ربها ناظرة, to their nurturing Lord looking or beholding. Unto, you might say, unto is even nobler, higher than to, but it's the same sense. But unto implies more, of reaching and attainment and rising and so forth. So إلى ربها ناظرة. So unto. إلى ربها ناظرة. So Imam Malik radiallahu anhu took this as a great proof against the Mu'tazila and the Shia, who deny the vision of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Imagine. You say, no, it cannot be vision like with the eyes of the head. It be vision with the heart. But with the vision with the heart, they have that in dunya. And vision in dream, they have that also. It's very frequent. in the reports about the awliya's dreams and vision in the heart and so forth. And so where is the impact of يومئذ, that day, with a capital D, that day? So, and there are other proofs. So, but in dunya, for Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. But Imam al-Qushayri and others, so Imam al-Qushayri in the book of Mi'raj, he has a book called Kitab al-Mi'raj. Imam al-Qushayri says, as-salatu mi'raj al-mu'min. As-salatu mi'raj al-mu'min. So the salat is the mi'raj of the believer, if they are asking for mi'raj. So Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, in the stories of the awliya, like he took everyone with him to mi'raj, not leaving any, because the first thing that he said when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, ask anything, it is given to you. And he said, ummati, ummati, ya Rabbi, ummati. So he has his ummah with him and bringing them. So, but the vision of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in dunya is ascertained for the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam alone. However, the awliya, they have isharat, they have signals to that effect. Signals, and this is one of them. ثم أخذت من في الشهيق والزفير, and then she started sobbing and crying. فتركتها على حالها ومضيت. So I left her in her state and I went on. وصلى الله على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم والحمد لله رب العالمين. ربنا آتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار. اللهم أنت رجاؤنا وأنت ثقتنا وأنت عصمتنا. اللهم إليك توجهنا وعليك توكلنا وبك اعتصمنا، فاغفر لنا وارحمنا واحفظنا في الدنيا والآخرة أولا وأخيرا، ظاهرا وباطنا، حسا ومعنا، بما حفظت به عبادك الصالحين وأحبابنا وعيالنا وإخواننا وأخواتنا وأعمامنا وعماتنا وأخوالنا وخالاتنا وأجدادنا وجداتنا المسلمين وأبنائنا وبناتنا وأزواجنا وجميع من وصانا واستوصانا بدعاء الخير يا أكرم الأكرمين، بالصحة والعافية في أسماعنا وفي أبصارنا وفي عقولنا، واجعله الوارث منا، وفي أبداننا وفي أموالنا وفي أحوالنا وفي حركاتنا وفي سكناتنا وفي تقلباتنا وفي أطوارنا أجمعين يا رب العالمين، ما أحييتنا في الحياة وعند الممات وفي القبر وعند النشور يا أكرم الأكرمين ويا أرحم الراحمين. وأشياخنا الكرام واجزيهم عنا خير الجزاء، وجزى الله عنا سيدنا محمدا صلى الله عليه وسلم ما هو أهله، وجزى الله عنا سيدنا محمدا صلى الله عليه وسلم ما هو أهله، جزى الله عنا سيدنا محمدا صلى الله عليه وسلم ما هو أهله وآله وصحبه وأتباعه إلى يوم الدين. سبحان ربك رب العزة عما يصفون وسلام على المرسلين والحمد لله رب العالمين. الفاتحة. Amen. Inshallah, we'll see you next time. Thank you for joining.